This is the first episode of the Certruth podcast. I'm honored to be joined with SJ Finucane and Nick Yanchuck. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
How you doing?
What's going on? How are we?
Doing all right. So, guys, obviously you're both here because of a tremendous football season, right? I just want to talk to you and kind of, start with Nick. Running back, you were a captain. In last year, you didn't even play. And then this year, you're breaking records. So I want to get your thought. What do you think about, or what's been the biggest change of motion from last year to this year?
I would say just the team around me and my mental state. Just the way last year I was hurt and the way they surrounded me, the sense of family I had around me to push through all the adversity is just crazy. Restart this? Yeah, maybe.
Esther? Nick, I once interviewed you, and I said that you once told me that you couldn't have done it without your O-line, and SJ, being the center of the O-line. Just want to talk about, how do you and the O-line get along, and, what is it about your O-line specifically that you like so much?
Just, their passion for the game and just the way they play. They love hitting people. They get pissed off in practice and they go. And it's fun for me because, I see that and I get excited. And that just motivates me even more. And I know, running behind them, I can't let them down because I know they're trying their best to put their body on the line. So I'm just there putting mine. So
most definitely. It's definitely an equal exchange. And SJ, you also came back from an injury this year. I want to talk about how was the recovery process difficult for you? How did you how were you when you were injured still being able to get reps mentally and trying to focus on the game? What did you do to stay in focus?
It was I'm sure Nick can say this too, but it was really hard. We had a somewhat successful season. We lost in the first round, but just seeing the team succeed and not being able to go out and help them, even during the playoff loss, and not being able to help them was really frustrating. But it was, you still have one more year, so I just tried to make the best out of it. But I know if I was down, then everyone else would get down. So I showed up to every practice. I tried my best to get there and support the team, even though it was hard. It was hard at times.
Yeah, you said you only had one more year, and you obviously referring to your junior season. But what do you both think was the biggest takeaway between your junior season and this year?
Well, at least our senior year, we had pretty much had the whole returning lineup. So that was certainly important. We all had varsity experience before. We all knew what we were doing, and coming back from an injury, it made that so much easier when our whole line has been starting for 3 years almost. And just credit to those guys because those guys were amazing. It made it easier for me to come back from an injury like that. Pass it to Nick.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing I took away, just my perspective and the appreciation I have. Definitely take nothing for granted. Nothing's guaranteed in life, and I found that out the hard way. I thought I was going to be, started since sophomore year, going to go junior year, have a great year, and then just taken away from me like a blink of an eye, just not being able to do a thing about it, and re-hurting myself to not be able to come back during that junior season. That really hurt me. And just over that course of that year going into my senior season, I knew even lifting, conditioning, practices, that I would try my hardest because I know I'm not guaranteed a thing and that anybody has the power to lose anything no matter where you are in life and no matter who you are. So definitely that point of perspective and just the appreciation about the people around me, definitely.
Yeah, definitely some words of inspiration, but it's crazy how even last year when you were injured, you did see people step up. Obviously Cam Burns stepped up, and unfortunately now he couldn't play this year. But it is interesting how last year when you were injured, how much the play style changes just around one person. Because when we didn't have such a prominent running back, you saw a lot, still strict run heavy offense, but more passing than this year, which was interesting. And I just do you guys what did you guys see as the biggest shift from the offense last year and the offense this year on both the line and in the backfield?
My heart goes out to Cam. It's just terrible what happened to him. I think he could speak the same thing I spoke earlier. Anything is not guaranteed, And last year he stepped up tremendously. I mean, he put up 1,000 yards in the regular season, which is really impressive. And just that our offensive line that carried over was a big part. And then me and Cam in the backfield, I think that would have been a really powerful thing. And that's just like the one thing that I wish I could see. And I wish I could have played with him last year as well.
Yeah.
To the offensive line point, we always knew we were going to be special from freshman year. So I think having everyone healthy, and to Nick's point, when Nick Haven stepped in for me, Nick, if you come across this, I miss you and I love you. Nick stepping up was huge for us, but finally getting everyone healthy, and we knew how well we could play. We knew we could dominate every other team, and we went on the incredible playoff run. Credit to those guys because our offensive line finally coming together after a tough start. It was huge. So.
Yeah, I mean, a tough start definitely. Like when you talk about like an underdog story, it was crazy how in the beginning of the year it was 0-3, and then to end with winning a playoff 3 or 2 or 3 playoff games. Two playoff games, which hadn't been done in I think it was 10 years, was it? Which is just absolutely crazy. So it really just goes to show, like what can happen, but. It also shows, you guys' integrity when changes are always being made because, again, injuries do happen. I guess that's just the sport. So I wanted to talk to you guys about, when you were injured, how you saw other guys in your positions step up to the plate, like you said, Nick Haven, or how other people in your line were always adapting to new plays and, new injuries and always making accommodations. And I just wanted to know what you guys thought of that.
Yeah, to the point, back to Nick. Nick did a great job while, I got hurt, but I think the biggest thing with our line and to a point is it was all about like communication and all about how we trusted each other. Like that helped us out so much. We were all so close. Like that was the closest group of guys I've been with, and it was just I think that's what helped us the most when stepping in. We were all super close. No matter who was playing what game, no matter if someone was hurt, we were all super close, and we all trusted each other for each other to step in when someone couldn't play or something.
So, I mean, you said it, how, this is the closest group of guys you've ever played with. It is interesting because obviously, seeing you guys are both seniors, you've been in the same grade for 4 years, but it is interesting because you guys really only played together, started probably for 2 until, the inevitable happened, which was, the injuries. But playing together for 2 years, do you find that it adds sort of a personal benefit where when you're up on that line blocking for Yans and Yans when you're running, you think you kind of owe it to your teammates? Because, like, I want your opinion on what the team adds to the aspect of the game, not just, obviously the physical aspect. Because, I want to know what the personal aspect of being brothers like that really applies.
Yeah, it was great, but I like to add this. Nick is a very humble guy. Nick doesn't take credit for what he actually did, breaking the single-season record for rushing and touchdowns. So, to your point, Nick made it very easy to block for him at times. It was fun to block for him, but you enjoyed it when you had a guy like Nick and a guy like Cam running behind you. So, I'd just like to point that out because Nick made it fun to block for him.
Thank you. But to your question, the fact that we had 26 or 28 seniors graduating from the football program is huge. I don't think you see that across Massachusetts, like that many seniors in a class. I think it really bonds us together and really has that sense of brotherhood and commitment to each other. No, we all have the same goal and we're all here to participate and put ourselves there. Even if it's like a scout team player to a starter to a swinger, like it doesn't matter. All 28 seniors, even if they played or they didn't, they were there at practice, all 4 years, and it's honestly impressive if you really look at the numbers. You don't see it anywhere else, and the fact that we could do that, just like, it gives me hope, gives me motivation of just seeing everyone there every single day. So I have to show up every day. I have to show them that I'm going to be there for them as they are for me. So, it's nice. Yeah,
I mean, I understand what you say when you say you have to be there for them and they're there for you. And Nick, you specifically as a captain, although you're obviously being a leader on the field, there's people who aren't, they don't have the title, but they still have to do their part every day, kind of like you said. And I just wanted to ask you, were there any younger guys or guys in your grade, scout team players who did step up and did actually give you, a challenge as much as they could have out in the field, helping you improve?
Mike O'Neill. In the off season, I don't think I've ever seen someone work so hard. So whenever I'm doing a drill or a workout and I feel like I'm like half-assing it or like dogging a little bit, I look over at Mike and he's going as hard as he can. We had drafted teams this year in the off season, and he was my number one pick. So that especially, seeing his work ethic push me to improve mine and make sure I don't take any plays off or any reps off. So I just thank Mike for doing that for me.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys are both, very prominent on the offensive line and, on offense. I wanted to ask, Jens, you played outside linebacker too.
I did, yeah. And then I got a concussion, and then I just strictly offense from there.
Right. But my question for you was, did your sense of, from your time that you did have on defense kind of help you think as a running back, how you, kind of fend off the opposite end, or were you strictly focused on just running back?
I was strictly focused on just running back, but I also have the sense of defense. When I watch film, I notice the tendencies of other linebackers, how they move, how they read. So if I take a wider angle, I can cut it back, or if I go in and then go back out, they won't be able to reach out and get me. But definitely playing linebacker helps just overall football IQ and just knowing what goes on the football field. Because the more you know, the better you're going to be, no matter if you know what the line's doing. I know pretty much all the linemen, their blocking schemes, which helps me as a running back figure out if I'm blocking a pass play or if I'm blocking a counter. I know where I need to be, and I feel that just makes you better as a player overall.
Yeah, most definitely. And, obviously after having such a good season, you kind of start to, you look into the future, not only of, there's two things I want to focus on. It's your guys' future with the sport or in general, and the future of the program. But quickly touching on the future of the program, Jens, after you having your concussion, your injury, and of course, and even you, SJ, with your injuries, you had to see even some younger guys step up. Like Jens, you even saw David Quinn step up in the beginning of the year, and then we saw Brett McCaffrey at running back during the St. Mary's game. And, I wanted to ask you, for the future of the program, who are guys that you see, younger guys putting in that work, and then that you hope that they're absorbing part of what you left them as a captain this season?
Yeah, those two are great examples, and I also see maybe some potential from the freshman class. I think the team's going to be young next year, but they're going to be experienced. I feel like our senior class led a good example all year on how to play and how to win. I think we have a certain expectation we set all year. We get on each other in practice, and I hope the underclassmen realize what's okay and what's not when they go through reps, when they go through practice. And I feel like as a senior class, as leadership, I think we've set in stone, not only from us, but from the ones who came before us, like the ones graduated last year and 2 years ago. I think they showed us how it is. I think we showed them this year, the underclassmen, how to really play the Fiend way. And starting 0-3 and going to the Final Four, you don't see that. I don't think you could go in the papers or search online and see what other teams have done that, because I don't think there has been. And for us to prove that really shows the character of this program and the players who play for it. So I think they have a bright future, but a lot to learn.
Yeah, sure, most definitely. And even SJ, you look at the O-line, who was a majority of seniors this year. So, after this year, we're going to have to make some major changes, obviously. But I want your opinion on, do you see anybody younger than you, younger guys putting in the work on that O-line who you think could be a detrimental part to the game in the future?
Yeah, definitely. There's our whole line being seniors this year. That's gonna be tough for some of the kids for stepping in for their first year. But they all, from what I've seen, they all work hard. They all work hard in practice, and it's gonna be tough coming into a varsity experience with little to no experience. But I'd like to say, Xander Sermos, if you're seeing this, you're going to be special. And that kid, he pushed me to my limits, and I was worried he was going to take my spot for a little bit. But the kid works hard, and he should have a big year this year.
Yeah. And, I mean, you guys really put it best. Just people who are younger than you and want to be in that same position. They got to do the work to get there. But enough with the future of the football program here at Fian. What about future with the sport? You guys in general, have you guys been in touch with anyone, or if you can't say, but where would you guys like to see yourself with the sport, or just in general in the next couple of years? As college comes right around the corner. I just because obviously you guys have both probably gotten noticed by a lot of people, and just what are your plans with the sport in the future?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking to play college ball. Looking at a couple different schools in mind right now, but I want to stay close, so I'm looking at schools around here. But I've been talking to a couple of schools, and I don't know, I was thinking about not playing, but I just thought about with the experience we had this year, and I want to do that again for another 4 years. So definitely looking to play college ball, but and I'm excited for that.
With my recruiting process, it was a little tough because I do want to play college football. Like last year, hurting my knee. I'm starting to talk to smaller FCS teams right now, and I have a couple D3 offers. I'm very grateful for what I have, and all the coaches reaching out to me. It's really nice to see a reflection of all the hard work I've put in, and it kind of just represents, I guess, who I am as a person coming back from that injury and being able to accomplish these things. And it hasn't been alone. Guy sitting next to me, I've been with him 4 years, hurt with him last year. Even the way he responded is crazy. So just the support from the offensive line, they open up the holes, they move people, so really it's easier for me. And I just hope I can find somewhere next year where it's the same case.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, just that brotherhood. It's definitely probably something that you couldn't have maybe gone as far without. But Nick, you specifically, SJ was right. You are being pretty humble because when I was getting ready to set up, obviously for this, we did some digging, obviously, and you seem to have gotten. When you put it on paper, you see you had a really, really good season. Obviously, you broke 2 records for the single season touchdown and rushing yard record, 2,205 yards, and you missed 2 games. That was Attleboro and St. Mary's. So not only were you making up for 2 missed games, but you're also making up for your junior year. And obviously that's gotten you your attention. Now, there was an article about you online. I don't know if you've read it or not, but it kind of ties into what you were saying with the whole family aspect. The headline was "The Hometown Hero" is what somebody called you, which is obviously really cool. But I want to talk about the hometown, which it could be you're from
North Attleboro.
You're from North Attleboro, but Fian, which is in Attleboro, you get the Fian kind of town itself, all the people in the Fian community, and all the fans that come out and have been coming out for the past couple of years, all the teachers that I'm sure stop you in the hallways, say good job, and all the coaches. And I was wondering if you could highlight what that kind of that homie aspect, everybody kind of behind you, pushing you to achieve this one goal, and what it's meant to you.
Definitely in our road playoff games, like our away, we didn't have any home games, and just to see the teachers all coming to support us on the sidelines, our higher up administration, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Kane, Mr. Fenson, and all the teachers, Coach Lum after a touchdown came and high-fived me at the KP game, which is crazy just to see the support that ranges out through the entire community. It's impressive, honestly. I'm glad I'm a part of it. And just the student body has been great. But again, the teachers, I didn't think they would be interested in going to see a high school football game. And there I see all of them lined up on the track, behind us. And just the support and the family aspect of Fian is great. And I'm just glad I made the choice to come here.
Yeah. Again, we only talked about, not only YouTube, but everybody else that's helped you get here. But we've talked about the future of the program. We've talked about the future for football. I want to take it back a little bit. I want you boys to walk me through freshman year, how you kind of started as a program, who you didn't know, and then comparing to now, these kids are your brothers. Because obviously, there were people maybe you thought were weird freshman year or whatever, but then you just kind of grew with them as a person. But I want to go back to freshman year.
I mean, I played a couple
even before freshman
years of
year,
Pop Warner before
how you
that.
two started with the game of football.
Absolutely crushing his team every single year. Every single year. But no, we had a good team. My Pop Warner year, we won 2 like New England championships. It was pretty nice. But coming in freshman year, I only knew a couple guys. Like I knew SJ, but I didn't really know him. Then now he's probably my best friend, and just the progression over the years of just playing with him, spending time with him like every single day. Like I don't think I've ever been like freshman year. I don't think I've ever been over someone's house as much as Tristan's house. every single weekend after football. I think SJ can talk more about that, but just like the family aspect and just the brotherhood just grew from freshman year, every single weekend hanging out, and then it carried into the off season, and yeah.
SJ.
I played Pop Warner for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but I was always like a bigger kid, so I had to play up when I was younger. So I was a 6th grader playing with 7th and 8th graders. So finally 8th grade year, I got to play Nick, and he absolutely destroyed us. So coming into freshman year, Nick was very good in Pop Warner. So I was like believe it or not, like I was scared to talk to Nick. Like, oh, this cool kid from North Attleboro is coming to Finucane. So it was really just like trying to be friends with Nick, but obviously we've grown and become very close. But yeah, kind of what Nick said. The close group of us from freshman year all the way through senior year, we've all stuck together, and just want to thank all those boys because those are my dogs, and I love all of them. So
yeah. I mean, again, it is kind of, it's heartwarming to see that you guys keep re-emphasizing the idea of like a brotherhood, and that's great to hear. But throughout the whole season, obviously you guys have been through some ups and downs. Focusing on the downs, obviously starting 0-3, but then going on to win those two playoff games. But I want to talk to both of you personally about your favorite individual moments from this season and even last season, whether it be a play or a moment in general or the win after a game. I want to know if there's anything that like really, kind of stood out to you guys and you held in your head, and, it's something that you're never going to forget when you're, moving on after college. Just what are these moments, just from both of you?
Well, I'm not going to say the obvious on the 2 playoff wins. Obviously, that was great coming in as a 14 seed, but when we dated back to the Bishop Fenwick game, our whole season was basically riding on that game. If we lost, we wouldn't get into the playoffs, and if we won, we would get into the playoffs as like a 14, 15 seed. Luckily, we got the 14. But around 5 minutes left, I haven't had, to that point, a bad snap all year. And, of course, with 5 minutes left in the game, we need a game-winning touchdown. I have a bad snap for the first time, and I was just completely depleted. Like, I was almost crying on the sidelines. I thought I lost us the game. But and luckily we came back to win that game. But I remember going up to Mr. Svensson after the game, and he said that was a close one. And I said I was never going to come back to school again if we lost that game, because I felt I put it on myself for a bad snap. But that game, and then that just gave us all the momentum to make that magical playoff run, and probably beating Fenwick. And yeah, beating Fenwick this year was my favorite moment.
I'm stuck between like 2 or 3. That kind of my junior year beating North Tech Community. That was a big one for me because it was my hometown. They got us back this year at our place, so it really goes hand in hand. And then this year, I'm stuck between 2 because my first touchdown back from my injury against Archbishop Williams, that kind of proved to me that all like the stuff I've been through is in the past. Like, I just need to focus on what's ahead, and I have the ability to do that. And then Peabody, that I have to say Peabody is probably my favorite moment because we were walking out on that field.
That was a wild game.
They're the number 3 team ranked in D2, and they were the projected upset team that would go to the Super Bowl and beat CM. We 50-pieced them, and I'm not saying that like cocky, but the way that when we walked out, their student section were yelling at us and saying that that was the only time we were going to be in the end zone before running out into the field. And I remember looking around at everybody, like on our team before we ran out, smiles on our faces, and we wanted it. We wanted to play. We wanted to compete. And for us to go out against the number 3 team that's projected to beat CM in the Super Bowl just felt great, and really put a statement game that Bishop Fiend football is back, and it's here, and there's no running from it, because a team like Peabody, like amazing, they're fabulous offense. Like they put up like 40-something points a game. Same with Reading. We held Peabody to 20 points. We held Reading to 6 points.
Was it Reading who claimed that they had the best offense in the state, or was that Peabody?
No, that was Reading.
That was Reading.
Yeah. We held them to 6 points. I mean, we have a pretty good defensive coordinator. Not a bad middle linebacker, and the defensive line's pretty good. So so it's a lot of good moments, and it's just kind of hard to pick one.
Yeah, that's good to hear. You talk about the kind of the dual mannerisms of football, offense and defense, and of course special teams too. But now that football is over, and I get to do this and have you guys on, I did want to start focusing. Hopefully in the future we have defensive players on, hopefully more captains, people like Connor McHale, who this year, with definitely a less pass-heavy offense, he really stepped it up defense-wise. And people like Connor and just everybody on defense who has to do their work to kind of, because they say offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And obviously you guys both made such a huge part on offense. But it is interesting to think that, it's kind of yin and yang. You need that defense, and how it kind of, when you're on offense, the only thing, or not the only thing you're worried about, but the biggest thing that you're going up against is the other team's defense. So that's kind of the beauty of the sport, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I trust the defense to go out there and get a stop, and they trust me to run in the end zone. So the KP game really showed a lot of that. I mean, the first half was 17-0. We didn't really know what to do, but we came back, talked in the locker room, and we came out firing. Our defense shut them out the second half, and then our offense came out to play. KB got the better hand of us, but the fact that our defense came out there and stopped them gives the offense such like a momentum boost. Like, hey, they can do it, so can we. So throughout this season, when the defense gets stops and they come off hyped, jumping up around, like, it gets me excited to go out and play, because I know like they're excited and they expect something from me. So
yeah, I mean, Jens, you saying it kind of gives me deja vu, because I remember I interviewed you after a couple games, but one interview in particular, and I'll try to play it right here.
The Bishop Fiend Shamrocks have made the playoffs. I'm here with Nick Yanchuck and Brendan Koss. Nick, great job tonight. I'm going to make this interview brief, really short. I just want to make it a warning. What do you got to say to the other people out there who have yet to see the Shamrocks?
I mean, you have to be aware of us. I mean, our defense, they played their butt off. I mean, constantly 2 red zone stops. I mean, held them to a field goal and then shut them out the second half. I mean, that opens everything up for the offense to give them motivation to, hey, our defense can do it, so can we. So I mean, we showed them the second half that we can do it, and I mean, the Shamrock football is one way.
Thank you, Jens. Great work.
But right there, you said that that you couldn't have done it without your defense, and I know in another interview you said that you couldn't have done it without your O-line, and it just goes to show the definition of team sport. It's these guys that kind of give you hope, and yeah, I mean, you can't really say much more about that. It's just everybody depends on each other, so it's great that you see these relationships grow on and off the field. So that's what I got for defense. Now I want to talk about right. Okay, so I'm saying, like, what do you do outside of just football that you find as a personal aspect to yourself that you apply in order to help yourself fight through tough situations, kind of like football?
I'll start. I credit a lot of it to the weightlifting. During weightlifting, you try and max out. You try to get the most reps, the most everything, and like lifting is such an important part of success on the field. But if you kind of relate to football to weightlifting, is you're always pushing, but you're always not gonna hit your PR every time. You're not gonna max out every single time, and you're gonna have to do the small little things in order to get to that PR. And it kind of relates onto the football field is you're not gonna win a championship just by one game. It's gonna take a team effort and through multiple games. So you need to do these little things, the weight room, that will translate onto the field. So I think weightlifting was a huge part of our success this year.
Yeah, just the fact that you can test your mental state through the weight room is crazy, and a huge help. Also, surrounding yourself in different clubs around Fian definitely gives you a better aspect to become a better version of yourself, understanding other people and how they feel. Definitely helping out the community. You can see that you have more than other people, and the fact that you just have to become more appreciative of what you have becomes a better person. And bringing that into football, being appreciative of what the coaches do was huge, I think, for us this year as a senior class, because I remember before the Fenwick game, before the Peabody game, we have our annual chapel, and we talked before we left, just the captains to the team, that we can't let the coaches down. The coaches put in so much work in the off season. They do so much work outside of their job. So it's literally a job on top of a job. And the fact that obviously they don't get paid anything, I don't think. And the fact that they're there every single day, giving us their best, helping us become better people. It's to me, I feel like it's such, like you said, it's a team sport. It's not about yourself. It's not about the individual. It's about the people around you and what they're doing. So if you take all that into consideration, I feel like it just makes you a better person, and it makes you understand the whole situation around you. And I feel like as a program, I think we started to do that, because we started 0-3, and then we started to really depend on one another. Our backs were against the wall, and we came back out firing. So I feel like you can take a lot of different lessons.
Yeah, I mean, you just said you can't really focus on yourself, and obviously, SJ, you're here specifically because I thought as a center, you kind of helped not just talk about yourself, but you also help represent the entire O-line. It is a representation of how you guys all play. I'm sure that there's almost a different mindset maybe on the line than there is in the backfield. There is a skill player, and I'm sure it's always being aggressive. And I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. As an offensive lineman, you gotta have killer mentality, if you know what I mean. You gotta want to go in and crush that kid in front of you every single time, because if you let up one time, you're going to get someone behind you killed, or you're going to get the plays just completely messed up. It all starts up front, and everyone on that O-line had that mentality this year, and I feel like that's why we were so successful. But as a center, I felt sometimes it was my job to lead him out, even though I wasn't a captain or anything. I felt I had to lead him out sometimes, and because when we get off track and stuff, I felt it was my job as the middle of that O-line to just really keep the boys locked in, and I feel like it did a good enough job because we made one hell of a run. So
yeah, and going back and forth to what you guys were both saying, Nick, you talked about coaches obviously, and SJ and Nick, I want to know if there were any specific coaches maybe that really stuck by you, that felt like personal help to you guys, kind of helped you maybe with a mantra, just something that they kept hammering into you that really stuck with you, or just I just want to know if there was any specific coaches that you guys really kind of saw as a mentor out on the field.
I definitely want to say Coach Brooks. I came here freshman year. I remember he gave me my helmet and everything, and we had a special relationship between us. And he would always joke with me about my injuries, so he kept it on the positive side and just try to help me out. But he stuck with me all 4 years throughout, even though I was hurt for 2 of them. He never gave up on me, and I just thank him a lot for that, because he stuck with me, and I know it's hard to stick with the kid who's been injured 2 years, but I'm glad he stuck with me. And yeah, Coach Brooks.
Yeah, I can second that, Coach Brooks, because he was the running back coach sophomore and junior year, and he was really there for me the whole time. And then Coach Juroff this year, he took over as a running back coach when Coach Brooks went to the O-line. And just them being there for me and talking me through every practice, like all like the fundamentals, those little steps and everything. And then also on the other hand, the fact how they're helping me with like the recruiting process and walking me through it and what I should do, what I shouldn't do. It just goes to show that coaches are more than coaches. Like they become like, I was just say brothers, but I feel like they're a little old for older brothers. But like, no, but coaches definitely, when they go into your personal life, it's a huge difference. It makes you appreciate them a lot more and makes you work harder when you're with them. So I just thank them both. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome to hear. We're hitting around the 35-minute mark here. So, wrapping things up, just wanted to ask you both individually if, there's anything you want to talk about. Doesn't have to be football or just, anything that's been going on or anything you guys want to add as a closing remark.
No, just kind of like I have a question for you on how your whole broadcasting like life. How is it like transitioning from when Joe is here to like you?
Well, it's been fun. I mean, I appreciate you for asking that. I definitely couldn't do all this without Joe. I mean, I'm even wearing the hoodie just because I owe a lot of this to Joe. Help with the equipment. He's always been in touch. But right now, how I'm looking at this in the future is, I want to do this to give the people a platform. I wanted to kind of use this as a way to say thank you to, obviously you two both for supplying our school with, such great pride with football. I wanted to do this to highlight individuals who work hard, kind of like how Joe wanted to do. And in the future, I don't know where I want to go with this yet, but I just hope that we keep getting momentum. I just hope, people keep following the page and everything. So that's pretty much how I can look at it.
So when you say you don't know what you want in the future, would you want to go to broadcasting, like sports broadcasting?
I would want to go to sports broadcasting for the main reason, and obviously, my personal life. I did start playing football freshman year, and I don't think there's anything that I like more than football. But I'm gonna work as hard as I can in that department. But they say it can't go on forever. So sports broadcasting. Hopefully, I wanna stay as close as I can to the competitive nature of athletics. So with broadcasting, if so be it, then things with football eventually fall off. I like having this way to stay close to the athletic community, and because once you play a sport, any sport, doesn't matter if it's basketball, baseball, football, soccer, you understand kind of like an athlete's mindset. It's a competitive mindset, or just a person's mindset in general. You really understand what makes people tick and what keeps pushing them. So in order, and I think that's so important, that doing stuff like this, it helps give those people who have a motive and something that they want to do with their life. I just like giving them a platform and still being able to highlight their success. So. Yeah.
All right. Closing remarks. We had a great season this year, football-wise. Thank everyone there, all my teammates who are going to be watching this and everything, and big special shout out to the War Eagles on bottom group chat. I love you, boys.
The Greedy Goblins always take the W.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
All right. This has been the Certruth, episode 1 with Nick Yanchuck and SJ Finucane.